Hello, today my topic is the coronavirus, 5G, and mass vaccination by Bill Gates. I will try to explain this. So sit down, watch and understand. The truth about coronavirus, 5G, and mass vaccinations by Bill Gates. There is currently a lot of misinformation about corona. Therefore I have put together a small FAQ to explain the background. What is corona? Corona is an RNA virus, which was extracted from bats in a Chinese biolaboratory in Wuhan. This virus was genetically modified to infect humans. It has been found that the mortality rate is very low at 3%, but infection rate is about 3 times higher than normal flu. As scientists know the data of the NWO measles virus, which has a similarly high infection rate, it was decided to test the emergency protocols for an epidemic. What is COVID-19? COVID-19 is the name of the respiratory disease caused by the coronavirus. As a distinction is made between the two, it is permissible to say that no one has died of the coronavirus, as one always dies of the disease COVID-19 and not of the virus. This scientific confusion is largely unknown and causes confusion because people are used to calling the disease corona. Originally, the virus should have been contained in Wuhan. What went wrong is not known. The scale of the epidemic took on such proportions that it became a pandemic and threatened the world economy. At first, it was believed that it only killed old people and therefore saw no need for action. The pension system should be relieved. However, the virus was increasingly killing younger and younger people who had not yet paid taxes. This forced governments to take things more seriously. Some governments were, as usual, the exception and believed that God would protect them, didn't you, Mr. Donald Trump? But Trump had other things on his mind, but more about that later. The important thing is that the risk of infection is lower outside than inside. But the biggest winners are YouTubers, who gain new subscribers by riding the corona wave. There are trivializers, doctors, charlatans, shamans, who claim that corona does not exist or that it is harmless. All I can say is, if corona does not exist, send their parents and grandparents to walk on a subway platform with 20 COVID-19 patients. In 3 weeks we will talk about it in the hospital, where supposedly no corona patients are lying, or at the funeral. And if it's so harmless, why would the state release billions to finance a lockdown? The main beneficiary, however, besides the Thule Society, is the Council of the 300. How does Thule benefit? Thule are interested in unleashing the Seven on Earth and have apparently been working for years with 2 traitor-errand scientists on an inter-universe portal. We have, of course, noticed and used our influence to install defense systems in every city. Yeah, I'm talking about 5G. In normal operation as a low-latency communication system it is very useful and absolutely harmless. But many have already noticed that despite low transmission power, very thick cable strands sometimes lead into the transmission units. The reason is that the frequency and transmission power can be increased in an emergency. Thanks to the 64 individual beams from several transmitters, an amplifying scalar field can thus be generated in a locally limited area and burn the skin of the invaders in a targeted manner without harming humans. Thule society knows that they cannot conquer a single city with the help of the Seven, as they are powerless against such a weapon. When they face humans, they can turn their innermost selves inside out just by thinking about it. So soldiers would die needlessly cruel deaths. We have already experienced this on Taemus. They can bend space-time to tear soft skin, but with steel their power fails. The towers would destroy them one by one, remotely controlled. That's why Thule is manipulating the humans, convincing them that 5G is meant to kill them. They claim, for example, that coronavirus was created with 5G waves, and Wuhan is the first city to be fully equipped with 5G. Unfortunately, since humans aren't necessarily the smartest, they believe that. There have already been attacks on some of the 5G towers. So people are only harming themselves by taking away their only defense. It's easy to check that Wuhan has only low 5G coverage. Just to be clear, we consider the Earth our property and want to protect it from harm. We may think of humans as pests that damage our world, but they are also our property. If anyone is allowed to kill them, it is us. That is the consensus in the Council of the 300. Use 5G to kill people, that is unsportsmanlike and against our principles. If it happens, then the buildings of the humans should also be disposed of. 5G won't help us in the least. Why is the Council the 300 Corona profiteer? This is about other manipulation. Yes, we also have paid YouTubers who are spreading claims for us that Bill Gates has kindly unwillingly volunteered to be a hate victim. They will try to forcibly vaccinate all people with a deadly agent / with a GPS/GSM surveillance microchip / with thought manipulating viruses. These lies can be seen through by people with half-average intelligence. It just doesn't make sense to kill people by vaccination. At the first deaths, further vaccinations would be immediately forbidden. The microchip would be conceivable, but a chip alone is useless without an energy source. Power sources would be quite extensive. Simple passive RFID chips have a coil and are powered from outside. Without that they have no effect. Such identification chips have been used for years, but under the skin. Injecting them into the bloodstream makes no sense because wandering chips would be at a random position in the body. The energy source must be no more than a few centimeters away. These chips cannot have GSM or GPS functionality. Watch how long your cell phone battery lasts. And that's a huge battery that can't be injected. I explain the whole thing in a child-oriented way, and I hope that everyone can understand these explanations. They play with your primal fears, and that then falls on fertile ground with conspiracy theorists, so that such lies spread quickly, and make as many people as possible afraid of vaccinations. Guess why? Okay, you won't get it. Only the most stupid people believe that crap. If stupid people don't get vaccinated, what happens when a suitable, particularly deadly virus for which there is a vaccination is released after all the vaccine has been used up? It will be almost exclusively smart people left. Since the stupid people do not fit into the New World Order anyway, this is really the easiest way of selection. Developing a virus that tests intelligence and spares clever people would be virtually impossible. Anyone who knows RNA programming is aware of that. Do restrictions on leaving the home serve to limit people's freedom? Yes, they do. People are being tested to see how they cope with the situation and whether they accept such measures. The few illegal demonstrations show that the broad masses are coping well with it. A particularly perfidious detail, in some countries, such as England or the USA, there has been deliberate hesitation for a particularly long time so that as many old people as possible die, especially homeless people. What are the worst effects of coronavirus? Apart from the many dead and the fact that opportunists and profiteers take advantage of the situation, which shows humanity and reptiloids from the worst side, existences have been destroyed. This may be very bad for individual egocentrics, but society will recover quickly. Be glad it was not Ebola. And on the subject of population reduction, Plan A, the most humane method, is still being carried out. Drinking water in overpopulated industrial nations is mixed with fertility-reducing chemicals, no matter whether it is from the tap, water bottles, or beer, it is everywhere. In mountains or Africa, where the water comes from the well, children are produced in high numbers. Which brings me back to Bill Gates. His vaccination plan will reduce mortality in Africa, because the high infant mortality rate is the reason why people there have to multiply so much. If 1 in 10 survived, they were satisfied, but if all of them survive and they cannot be supported, they will consider family planning. And Microsoft also benefits from this, in terms of increased sales of Microsoft products. That's it for this time. Thanks for watching, and see you hopefully next time. If you enjoyed watching, please subscribe, or give me a thumbs up. You can visit me on my new Facebook page, link in the description, or send me an email to angry.reptilian@gmail.com. But I can't reply to mails until the relay server is set up, which would not give away my IP address. I also like to see comments below the video, but I reserve the right to delete insults. Stay healthy.